Hello, YouTubers. Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I thought that we'd have a little chat out here next to the chicken coop. Look at my chicks. There's Poppy right there. You see him in the corner over there? And the dogs just love chasing them around the cage. So I thought that I'd just sit out here for a few minutes with you all. I was going to go over an article, and I'll still go over here. I got my tablet here. I'll go over it shortly, and I'll leave you a link to them. But first, I wanted to go ahead and make a correction from yesterday's video, because one of our community members, one of our Patreons actually, so thank you, Marty, all right, actually sent me an email. She went ahead and did a little bit of extra research, and I'm very thankful for that. Yesterday's video was about the incandescent light bulbs, that there's a rule that shows that on the 1st of August, today, they're not supposed to be able to be manufactured anymore or sold, right? Well, Marty went ahead and she did some research for me, and she found the law that went back all the way, I believe it was to 2017, that said that they were going to make special considerations for light bulbs such as like what we use them for here, right? To heat a small building, i.e. the chicken coop. All right, so thank you for that. But as I was looking through the rule, right, because they had to make a rule on this, I thought to myself, and I'm going to show you right here. Here's the rule. Here's the rule that I was looking through. Hopefully you can see. You don't really have to read it, but here's the rule. Okay, on the light bulbs, and that they can be used for certain purposes instead of just lighting. All right, this is the rule, and I'm making a point here. So give me a second. Let me just get to the bottom of this. Anyways, there we go. There we go. Look, ladies and gentlemen, that's the rule on a light bulb, on what you can use a light bulb for. So when I'm looking through this and trying to read that document, I'm like, oh my goodness, how much more reading am I going to have to do for a light bulb, ladies and gentlemen? That's how entrenched in our lives the federal government is, that they have to spend all of this time, all of these taxpayer dollars, so that they can discuss and decide what kind of a light bulb you can use. All right. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was I came across this article, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure to leave it for you all. I came across two really good articles, actually. And again, I'll make sure that I go ahead and leave it for you. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. My tablet must have timed out, or I must have pushed something on it that made it turn off or something. But I found this article that's pretty interesting, and I've talked about this in the past, ladies and gentlemen, where they are going to continuously use the climate as a reason to fulfill their agendas. You see, people are waking up to this thing that they did for the last 2 or 3 years, right? This health crisis deal. But in my opinion, the government and governments around the world, they've learned that most people will just comply. Most people will just get along to get along for whatever reason it may be. Maybe it's because they need to keep their job, etc., etc., etc. Right? You can just fill in the gaps for whatever reason it may be. That's why it's so important that we are prepared, not only for when there's crises, but for when you have to use your no muscle, for when you have to say no. Which brings me to one of our community members that I think it was about a year and a half ago or so. We were on a live stream, and she told us she is a nurse, I believe in New York. And she told us, yes, on the 4th of January, I'll be losing my job, but that's okay. And she's going to lose her job because she didn't want to comply with the mandates that they were establishing for healthcare workers in New York. And she said, but that's okay because I've got plenty of preps, and it'll get me through until I find another job. See, it allowed her to use her no muscle without having to suffer as much as she would have should she not have been prepared. See, so that's why we have to be prepared. That way, when they come and tell us about what I talked about here a while back, probably a year or more ago, I remember doing a video on this, that they will eventually have climate lockdowns, that they will eventually have blackouts and brownouts, and they'll blame it on the climate because we can't produce CO2. If we produce any more CO2, the earth is going to implode. And that's what they're going to keep using. And those people that are, i.e. NPCs, if you know what that means, those people that just go along to get along, they're going to continue to believe it and not do their research like Marty did, all right? And they'll go ahead and go along to get along, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why we have to stay abreast of this. So anyways, this article here says, energy industry fears that the White House will declare health crisis like climate emergency. And that's to do what? What did they do during the health crisis? They locked everyone down, or those people that would stay down. They got to decide who were the people that were critical and who were not. And it just happens that all of the mom and pop shops, all of the little bodegas, convenience stores that belong to middle class Americans, those were not critical. Those businesses, they can shut down, they can go bankrupt. But all of the big businesses, they were critical, and they were allowed to flourish, and they were allowed to profit in amounts that they've never profited before. If you go back, I'm sure I talked about this here within the last year or so, but if you go back to the last 2 or 3 years, there were so many millionaires and billionaires. I forgot how many billionaires were made during the last 2 or 3 years, during that last health crisis. I think it was in the 200 plus billionaires or something like that were made during that time. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, if you work for a living, you're not supposed to win. You're supposed to work. Because if everyone that worked for a living won, then who would be left to work? And that brings me back to an article that MD Creekmore read a long time ago. It was more like an opinion paper from someone who worked in the United Nations, who said that poor people and hungry people are good for the wealthy, because poor people and hungry people, they work harder. So they were in favor of a certain portion of the population being hungry and being poor, because they seem to work a lot harder, and they made the lives, or make the lives of those that are wealthier easier. Now let me go ahead and read you just a little bit of what they say here. They say that they can literally do exactly what they did during the health crisis, and that it was a quote by Mr. Stewart. He also says, if you disagree with the climate emergency, your speech can be shut down. We really need to be paying attention to that, because the power could be extended indefinitely until the climate emergency is over. Who knows how long will that last? Now, what he's saying there is that if the government wants to give themselves emergency powers so that they can do brownouts, so that they can do blackouts that last, I don't know, several hours a day. Brownouts is when they give you less energy through the lines, and it's really not good for your appliances and things like that, because you're not getting as much voltage as you're supposed to. That's why it's very important, ladies and gentlemen, that you have a backup power system. But I'll go ahead and show you the one that I'm still using. I'm still using it. If you saw that video that I did with the Dabson, I'm still using that system to get as much energy as I can out of the sun while we have sun here during the building season, i.e. the summer months. But if they give themselves powers, emergency powers, look at how much they can get away with. So do you think that they would not want to or be able to use their emergency powers to say, hey, Joe Schmo, we're going to go ahead and cut your power off from 9 to 5 because you should be working during that time anyways, all right? So you're not going to miss it. Hey, excuse me, but we're not going to be able to provide you enough electricity to charge your electric vehicles today. All right, so sorry if you have plans on going out somewhere. They can do whatever they want, ladies and gentlemen. They can do it and get away with it, and it's been proven that they can do it and get away with it with what happened in the last few years. Now, I hope that many Americans woke up during that time, and after everything that they had to go through, after so many people losing their jobs, losing their businesses, losing their homes, losing their lifestyle, right? Having to go from one lifestyle of the middle class to now the poor, of the working poor. So hopefully enough people have woken up. But can they do it? I've often said that the government can do whatever it wants, as long as we the people let them. And there's going to have to come a time where we the people wake up in masses, but that time is not now. And that's why you have to be prepared now, ladies and gentlemen. You that are in the know, be prepared not only for you, but for your family and your friends as well, if you can do that. We had a late start with sun. Why? Because the later that we get on into the summer, into the fall, the less sun that we have. So we're effectively losing a little bit of sunlight every single day. But you can see here that my main battery, my main unit, is receiving, I believe it says 204, because it's backwards for me. 204 watts of power, which is great, right? And you can see that the main unit, I think it says, what is it? 39%. It's at 39% capacity, but my two external batteries for that Dabson, let me see, one of them is at 56, I believe, and 52. And that's after about a day and a half of having really cloudy weather. I was hoping that it would make it through those couple of days or that day and a half of cloudy weather, so that today and the next 2 or 3 days is supposed to be nice and sunny. So I'm hoping that today, by the end of the day, it'll be at 100%. So I'm still running my essentials, I guess you can say that, my refrigerator, freezer off of that unit, and it's able to keep up as long as we have good sun. But we're getting kind of close with 59%, 52%, and 39%. But I'm hoping that today, by the end of the day, it'll be 100%. And then for the next 2 or 3 days, it's supposed to be really nice outside, really nice and sunny. Might as well use the sun's power while I can, right? And then what I'll do during the winter time, when we get no sun, is I'll go ahead and set up that system in the UPS mode, right? An uninterrupted power supply, which means that I will have the system plugged into an outlet where it will draw power for whatever appliances are hooked up to it. So the appliances, while they're running, they'll draw power right through the grid. They'll bypass the battery and draw power right from the grid. And then if the grid power ever shuts down, it will automatically switch over to battery power. And what I did also is under my house, for those of you that watched that video, well, let me show you, right? Let me go and show you real quick. So here's my system. The Dabson system, the one that I showed you on that, it was like a 2-week review or so. And here, this is one of the external batteries, and you can see it's now up to 60%. That's the main unit, and what you hear there is just the fan running, all right? The main unit's got 200 watts coming in and 89 watts, so we must have the refrigerator, the freezer turned on. And then here's my other battery. So now what I did is I went ahead and brought down my other system that I had up there. This is like one of my very oldest systems, and this is my Yeti 1000, my Goal Zero Yeti 1000, and here's all of the external batteries that I have connected to it. So this Goal Zero system with the external batteries is a little over 5,000 watt hours, and then this Dabson system is a little over 8,000 watt hours. So right here I have enough power to go ahead and supply power to my essentials in my house for at least a full week, ladies and gentlemen, and that's if I don't have any sun. And if I had to go more than a week without sun, then all I would have to do is, just like I demonstrated on the review video of the Dabson, is just power it up with a gas generator. Now the way that I have this Yeti powered up is I have it plugged in. Oh, there's Karma. She had to come and visit. Say hello, Poo-Poo. I have the Yeti plugged into the Dabson so that the batteries can always be in the state of float, which means that they're fully charged at all times. And if ever I need to use the Yeti, all I have to do is go ahead and plug in the extension cords that I led to my upstairs into the Yeti and take them off of the Dabson. Very simple. Green energy isn't green. New analysis tears down lies about renewables, reveals that solar panels can be carbon intensive. And this right here, I'll leave you the link to this article as well. Here they talk about how this gentleman, the one that was doing the journalist work here that wrote this article, was saying that, or showed that solar panels, the manufacturing on them, can be up to 3 times more carbon intensive than what they're telling us that they are. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So like I said, you know, I love solar panels. Obviously, you saw the solar generators that I have down there, and I actually use them actively, you know, all around the year. I love these things. I think they're great things to have, but there's no possible way that we can stay away from fossil fuels, from liquid fuels, from solid fuels like coal, or liquid fuels like oil, or even gaseous fuels like natural gas, things like that. We can't stay away with it. We can't function without it in society. If we do, we will suffer. And that's what I'm seeing happening here in the future, is that they will eliminate our ability to be able to easily produce or extract these fossil fuels from the earth, and therefore there will be a shortage, meaning that it will cost a lot more for us to heat our homes, to run our electricity. And then they can also use the excuse of the shortages to be able to do rolling blackouts and have brownouts too. just like in a third world country, ladies and gentlemen, right? Just like in a third world country. And that's what we need to prepare for, right? I've often stated that I believe that the United States one day will be just like a third world country. And just take a look around at some of our destitute cities around the country. Some of our most beautiful cities around the country that are now just like third world country, if not, in my opinion, some of them even worse. I know I've made this video way too long, but I just wanted to take a quick minute to chit chat with you all and check in with you for today. If you live in Fairbanks, ladies and gentlemen, all right, I'm going to do my best to try to make it happen this Friday. We're having a live stream this Friday. If you live in Fairbanks and if you just want to join in on Friday's live stream and have a lot of fun, join in on Friday's live stream, especially if you live in Fairbanks, because I'm going to do an awesome giveaway that is going to be to someone that lives in Fairbanks or can get to Fairbanks to pick up their prize from myself during the weekend, right? It's not going to be like, oh, hey, you can come in 3 months and get it. No, it'll be like, if you can get here this weekend, it's yours, all right? And it's going to be very nice, and there's going to be more than one. All right, so I hope to see you all there during Friday's live stream. I'm going to make it again at around 4 p.m. Alaska time. So 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern time this Friday. And who knows, maybe I'll give away a few silver coins. All right, so hope to see you then on Friday. And I'm sure that I'll see you again either tomorrow or the day after. And again, thank you very much for all of your support, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate you all joining in whenever I have these little chats with you or whenever I just talk to you via video, because there's something interesting that I like to talk about. Having said that, God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.